All right, so picture this. You're standing by the water, watching all these kayaks and canoes and paddle boards just gliding by. Looks amazing, right?
Oh, yeah.
But how do you even get started?
Right.
There are so many ways to get out on the water, it's enough to make your head spin.
Yeah, it's definitely a world of options,
It is.
and it can feel overwhelming when
Exactly.
you're first starting out.
And that's why we're doing this deep dive today
Yeah,
to help you kind of navigate the world of paddling and find the perfect craft for you, for your personality, for your goals.
absolutely.
We've got some amazing sources here. Stories from whitewater kayakers, touring enthusiasts, fishing pros, even folks who do yoga on paddleboards.
Wow, the whole spectrum.
The whole spectrum.
It's amazing how each paddling discipline really reflects a different way of experiencing the water.
Okay.
It's not just about the boat.
Right.
It's about the whole mindset.
Okay, so let's say you are ready to take the plunge,
Okay.
but which craft is your perfect match? Our sources really emphasize that there's no one-size-fits-all in the
Yeah.
paddling world.
It's about finding your tribe
I love that.
in the paddling community.
Finding your tribe. So let's break down the options.
Okay.
Starting with whitewater kayaking.
Right.
Our whitewater experts paint a pretty intense picture.
Yeah.
Adrenaline pumping, heart racing, navigating rapids.
Yeah, it definitely demands like a high level of skill, a
Yeah.
healthy respect for the power of moving water,
Right.
but it's also incredibly exhilarating, pushing your limits
Oh, yeah.
both physically and mentally.
Now, but what about those times
Yeah.
when the adventure takes an unexpected turn? Our sources mention some pretty hairy situations.
Oh, yeah.
How do experienced paddlers handle that fear and risk?
I mean, that's where experience and training really come into play,
Yeah.
Knowing how to read the river, anticipate hazards, and execute self-rescue techniques
Right.
is crucial. But even beyond those technical skills, it's about mental resilience,
Oh, wow.
staying calm under pressure, and trusting your instincts.
So intense.
Yeah.
But also incredibly rewarding.
It is.
All right, now let's switch gears, completely different vibe here,
Totally.
to touring.
Yeah.
If whitewater is about adrenaline,
Yeah.
touring is about exploration and endurance.
For
Yeah.
sure. I'd imagine embarking on these like multi-day trips,
Wow.
paddling along scenic coastlines,
Yeah.
discovering hidden coves.
Okay, so I always thought kayaking was all about upper body strength, but for touring, it sounds like technique plays a bigger role.
It does. Efficient paddling technique is essential for covering these long distances,
Right.
without exhausting yourself. It's about finding that smooth, rhythmic stroke that conserves energy and minimizes strain.
So it's a workout,
Oh, for sure.
but also very meditative.
Yeah, very much so.
Now, for our listeners out there who prefer a more tranquil experience,
Okay.
there's always fishing kayaks.
Always.
Right.
Absolutely. Fishing kayaks are designed for stability and functionality.
Right.
They often come with features like rod holders,
Uh-huh.
live wells, and ample storage space
Wow.
for all your gear.
That's awesome.
It's about finding that perfect spot, casting your line, and just enjoying the peacefulness of the water.
And speaking of peacefulness, one thing that really stands out from our sources is that paddling isn't just about physical activity.
No.
It's a really powerful way to connect with nature
Right.
and reduce stress. I think that's something
Listen,
you as a listener can really benefit from.
Absolutely. Paddling offers such a unique perspective on the natural world.
Yeah.
Whether you're gliding through these serene marshes, observing wildlife, or just feeling the rhythm of the water,
It's true.
it's a chance to really disconnect from the hustle and reconnect with yourself.
All right, now let's ride the wave of popularity here
Okay.
and talk about stand-up paddleboarding, or SCP.
SUP, yeah, it's having a moment for sure.
Our sources are raving about its versatility, from leisurely paddles to yoga flows on the water.
Yeah, and it's easy to see why.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic full-body workout.
Okay.
Engages your core legs and upper body, plus it's so adaptable.
Wow.
You can explore calm lakes, ride gentle waves, even practice yoga poses
What?
while balancing on the board.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
But I imagine balance is key.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where the fun begins. Finding your balance on a SUP board is a journey in itself.
Yeah.
It's about developing that core strength, improving stability, learning to move with the water.
So we've got a sense of all the different paddling disciplines.
Yeah.
But before we launch into all the gear and safety tips,
Okay.
love to take a moment to talk about the bigger picture here.
Sounds good.
Our sources really emphasize that paddling isn't just about personal enjoyment. It's also about respecting and protecting our waterways.
Yeah.
What really resonated with me is this idea that paddlers have this unique responsibility because
Oh,
we're so connected to the water.
you're absolutely right. We see firsthand the impacts of pollution, habitat loss, and climate change on our rivers, lakes, and oceans. And that awareness
Yeah.
comes with the responsibility to be stewards of these precious resources.
So what are some ways that paddlers can make a difference?
Participating in river cleanups is a great way to take direct action.
Yeah.
But even simple things like packing out everything you bring,
Yeah.
avoiding single-use plastics, and choosing eco-friendly gear
Right.
can have a really big impact.
So we've covered the spectrum of paddling disciplines
Yeah.
and touched on the importance of environmental stewardship.
Ah,
Now let's dive into the practical stuff. Safety first.
yes,
Fun.
always.
Always.
Yeah.
Safety is paramount no matter your skill level
Right.
or paddling environment.
Yeah.
And it all starts with understanding the potential hazards
Okay.
specific to your chosen discipline.
All right. So let's talk about some essential safety gear.
Okay.
I know a properly fitted life jacket or PFD
Right.
is non-negotiable. Oh, absolutely. A PFD is your best friend on the water. It's not just about, following regulations.
Right.
It's about having that peace of mind,
Yeah.
knowing that you have that extra layer of protection.
And I've heard that for whitewater kayaking, a helmet is just as crucial as a PFD.
It is, in whitewater, the potential for capsizing and hitting rocks is very real.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
A helmet can literally be a lifesaver.
Yeah.
But, it's not just about having the gear.
Right.
It's also about understanding how to use it properly. For instance, did you know that a PFD should fit snugly but not restrict your movement?
That makes sense. It's got to be able to do its job if you end up in the water.
Exactly.
Now, for touring, where you might be out on the water for extended periods, what are
Um,
some additional safety considerations?
Well, navigation skills and weather planning become really important when you're touring.
Okay.
You need to know how to read a map, use a compass,
Mm.
be prepared for changing weather conditions.
What about things like nautical charts?
Oh, absolutely. Nautical charts are like road maps for waterways.
Yeah.
They're essential for planning your route, especially if you're paddling in unfamiliar areas.
What about communication?
Yeah.
Should touring paddlers have a way to call for help if needed?
Absolutely. A reliable communication device like a VHF radio or a satellite messenger is highly recommended,
Okay.
especially if you're paddling in remote areas.
Right.
A VHF radio allows you to communicate with other boaters and the Coast Guard, while a satellite messenger can send for help even when you're out of cell phone range.
Makes perfect sense. You don't want to be caught off guard miles from shore.
Nope.
Now, for SUP, since you're standing up
Right.
and potentially closer to the water, are there specific safety tips to keep in mind?
Yeah, for SUP, a leash is essential, especially in windy conditions or choppy waters. It prevents your board from drifting away if you fall off.
Okay.
And learning self-rescue techniques like how to get back on your board after a fall is crucial.
Those are great tips.
Yeah,
Now, beyond the essential gear, are there any little things, those easily overlooked details that can make a big difference in safety?
absolutely. Remember to always check river levels before heading out, especially for whitewater or river paddling. Unexpectedly high water can create really dangerous conditions.
And I've also heard it's a good idea to keep a dry bag with essentials within easy reach.
Yes.
No matter what your paddling style is, what sorts of things should go in there?
Exactly. Things like your phone, a whistle,
Hmm.
a first aid kit, some extra layers of clothing. These should all be readily accessible in case of an emergency.
Good to know.
Oh, and don't forget sunscreen. And a hat sun protection is easy to overlook when you're focused on the water.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we've covered safety gear
Uh-huh.
and some really practical tips.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about gear trends.
Right.
The world of paddling gear is constantly evolving.
It is.
So what's worth the investment for someone just getting started?
Well, I'd say focus on quality over quantity. When you're starting out, it's better to invest in a few key pieces of gear that are well made and will last.
That makes sense. So what are those key pieces?
For any type of paddling, a comfortable and properly fitted PFD is a must.
Okay.
Then, depending on your chosen discipline, you'll want to consider a paddle, a wetsuit or dry suit
Mhm.
for colder conditions,
Right.
and appropriate footwear.
Now, if you're really getting serious about whitewater,
Yeah.
you might consider investing in a dry suit and a specialized throw bag for rescues.
That's right.
These are more advanced,
Yeah.
but can make a huge difference in safety and comfort.
For sure.
Exactly. And for touring, a good quality dry bag to protect your gear from the elements is essential.
Yes, very important.
A spray skirt is also a good investment.
Yeah.
If you're paddling in rough conditions, it helps keep water out of your cockpit.
It does.
And I've seen some incredible lightweight foldable kayaks
Oh, yeah.
designed specifically for travel. Those look amazing for exploring new waterways.
Those are game changers for those who love to explore
Yeah.
new waterways or just want to easily transport their kayaks.
Okay, what about SUP? Any exciting trends in paddleboard design?
Definitely, high-performance paddleboards are becoming increasingly popular.
Okay.
They're designed for speed, stability, and maneuverability, catering to those who want to push their limits on the water.
Wow.
Inflatable paddleboards are also gaining traction.
Okay.
They're incredibly portable, easy to store, and surprisingly durable.
So this is all so fascinating.
Yeah.
But beyond the gear
Uh-huh.
and the technical skills,
Right.
paddling offers something truly special.
It's more than just a sport.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that sense of calm wash over you as you just glide through the water?
Oh, yeah.
It's almost meditative.
It is. Paddling can be so therapeutic
Yeah.
for both the mind and body.
Yeah, huh?
It's such a wonderful way to de-stress, clear your head, and just find a sense of peace.
Hmm.
I once went on a kayaking trip with zero experience and nearly tipped over trying to get in.
Oh.
It was a humbling experience,
Yeah.
but it taught me the importance of proper instruction and the power of perseverance.
They love that it's about challenging yourself,
Yeah.
discovering your own strengths,
Sure.
and you're ready to join the paddling community.
Hey, right.
Great. But remember,
It's all about inclusivity and accessibility. Paddling is for everyone, regardless of background, ability, or experience
I
level.
love that.
We want to create a welcoming and supportive environment for all who want to experience the joy of paddling.
Absolutely. And our sources highlight some amazing initiatives that promote community building
They do.
within the paddling world.
Yes, there are mentoring programs designed to introduce newcomers to the sport events that bring paddlers of all levels together, and organizations that advocate for greater access to waterways.
I love that.
And don't forget about the online communities.
Oh, yeah.
There are so many forums and social media groups dedicated to paddling. It's a great way to connect with other paddlers, share tips, and find inspiration for your next adventure.
So whether you're seeking a structured learning environment, a social paddling group, or just a virtual space to connect with fellow enthusiasts,
Right.
there's a place for you in the paddling community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so special.
Yeah.
It's all about sharing the joy of paddling and supporting each other on the water.
Yeah.
And before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on something we haven't discussed yet.
Okay.
The potential challenges or obstacles that newcomers might face.
That's a really important point because while paddling is incredibly rewarding,
Yeah,
it does come with its own set of challenges.
it does.
For instance, I imagine that weather conditions can play a huge role in the feasibility and safety of a paddling trip.
Oh, absolutely. Wind, rain, even extreme temperatures can significantly impact your paddling experience. It's crucial to check the forecast before heading out and be prepared to adjust your plans accordingly. And remember, conditions on the water can change quickly, so always be prepared for the unexpected.
It's funny you mentioned that I once got caught in a sudden downpour while kayaking on a lake. Luckily, I had packed a rain jacket, but let's just say I learned a valuable lesson about checking the forecast.
We've all been there. It's those unexpected moments that teach us the most about being prepared and adaptable on the water.
And for those who might be paddling in more remote areas, navigating unfamiliar waterways, or dealing with unexpected currents could present a challenge.
Yeah, you're right. Solid navigation skills are essential, especially if you're venturing beyond familiar waters. Knowing how to read a map, use a compass, and interpret nautical charts can make a world of difference. And if you're paddling in tidal areas, it's crucial to understand how tides and currents can affect your route and timing.
Now, what about those moments when fear or self-doubt creep in? I imagine it can be quite daunting to face a challenging rapid or paddle in open water for the first time.
You've hit on a common experience. It's perfectly normal to feel a bit apprehensive, especially when pushing your boundaries. The key is to acknowledge those fears. Take things one step at a time and gradually build your confidence.
So it's about respecting your limits and knowing when to challenge yourself and when to play it safe.
Exactly. And that's where having a supportive paddling buddy or a knowledgeable guide can make all the difference in those moments. Having someone by your side who understands the challenges and can offer encouragement and guidance can be incredibly empowering.
So even though there might be bumps along the way, the paddling community is there to help navigate those challenges and celebrate the victories, big or small. Now, I'm curious from your perspective, what are some of the most common misconceptions or myths about paddling that you've encountered?
That's a great question. One common misconception is that paddling requires exceptional strength or athleticism.
I can see how someone might assume that, especially when picturing those powerful kayakers navigating rapids.
Right. But the reality is that paddling is a very adaptable activity. There are techniques and equipment modifications that can make it accessible to people of varying fitness levels and abilities.
So it's not just for the super fit or the adrenaline
Yeah.
junkies.
Not at all. Paddling can be as gentle or as intense as you choose it to be. It's all about finding your rhythm, enjoying the experience, and appreciating the beauty of the water. Adaptive paddling programs are also becoming increasingly popular, making the sport accessible to people with disabilities.
That's fantastic. Everyone deserves the chance to experience the joy of paddling. Now, another misconception I've heard is that paddling is an expensive hobby.
I can see that considering the initial investment in a craft and gear can seem daunting, but there are ways to make paddling more affordable.
Like renting equipment instead of buying it outright.
Exactly. Many outfitters offer rentals, allowing you to try different types of paddling before committing to a purchase. And there's also a thriving used gear market where you can find great deals on quality equipment.
So even with a limited budget, the joy of paddling is within reach.
Absolutely. And the investment, whether it's financial or in terms of time and effort, is well worth it.
Because ultimately it's about the experiences, the connections, and the sense of peace and wonder that paddling brings.
Precisely. It's about finding your place on the water and discovering the magic that unfolds with each stroke of the paddle. For me, paddling is more than just a hobby. It's a way of life. It's about connecting with nature, challenging myself, and finding a sense of peace and clarity that I don't experience anywhere else.
That's beautifully said. And I think that's a perfect note to end on. We've covered so much ground in this deep dive, from the different paddling disciplines to safety tips, gear recommendations, and the incredible sense of community that surrounds this sport.
It's been a pleasure sharing these insights and hopefully inspiring you to embark on your own paddling adventure.
So, to our listeners, we encourage you to find your tribe, embrace the adventure, and let the water be your guide. Who knows, maybe your journey will lead you to discover a hidden talent or a passion you never knew you had.
And remember, no matter what path you choose, the paddling community is there to support you every stroke of the way.
Yeah.
Happy paddling.